Hello everyone, I hope all of you are doing well. So today I'm going to tell you how to study medieval Indian history both for prelims and the mains exam for UPSC, and you can even refer this for any other exam you're studying where medieval Indian history is part of the syllabus. So we will go through number 1 the sources, number 2 what to study in these sources, number 3 we will discuss what are the focus areas or what are the strategies of how to study. See, we know what to study from the sources, but how to study them, that we will also focus on. So the strategies and the importance of PYQs, previous year questions, and how to do that. All right, so first of all, what are the sources to study medieval Indian history? I only refer to one source for medieval Indian history, which was the Medieval India book by Satish Chandra. This is the NCERT book for class 11th. This is the old book and this is what it looks like. You can get this on Amazon easily, or you can get it in Old Rajendra Nagar or Mukherjee Nagar. I suggest you get this book. Don't go for the new book, because new book is actually not that useful in my personal view. The kind of questions that are coming every year are not given. Some of them are given in the new book, the old book, and some of them are not available even in the new book or the old book. So it is about making your preparation smart. So I would just go for the old book, because this is a thick book. It gives you enough perspective of the medieval Indian history. You don't need more than this. Second thing is, apart from this book, I would say that you should also refer to online maps or pics or images of medieval Indian history, so that you can remember and you can create visualization in your mind in order to remember and recall a lot of these facts and things that you will learn, information that you will learn in this particular period of history. So for example, I used to make these maps and I had saved them in my Evernote, and these maps are of different ADs, different time periods, and which particular ruler was ruling different parts of India at that time. And I had written some points about that. So I will make a PDF file of this and I will share it with you guys. So maybe you can help use this. But this kind of online maps were already available online. I just did Google search and I was able to find them. So you can use some of these. This is not comprehensive, so I don't advise you to completely depend on these. These were very basic notes, so that I could understand the bigger picture, that what was going on in medieval India. But apart from that, I did not use these notes for regular studying. Okay, so these were just kind of supplementary notes, so don't consider them as full-time notes. But you can yourself do some online map searching. You can do searching of the pics of various rulers, various areas, various architecture and literature, images of those things, so that you can relate your mind to what you're studying. So you can do that online search when you're studying the book. Consequently, when let's say आप पढ़ रहे हैं और उस टाइम को आपको लगता है आपके माइंड में कुछ डाउट है, तो आप वो पर्टिकुलर कीवर्ड सर्च कर सकते हैं यहाँ से लेके. सो जस्ट गो फॉर दैट. एंड फाइनली इज प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस. तो प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस क्या है? They are questions from medieval India syllabus that have come in the past, and I will tell you what is the importance of that. So ये तीन चीज़ बस पढ़ने हैं आपको, इससे ज़्यादा medieval India में कुछ नहीं पढ़ना. अब कैसे पढ़ना है, क्या पढ़ना है? तो ये चैप्टर वाइज मैंने यहाँ ग्लॉसरी दी है. आई विल ऑल्सो पोस्ट दिस ऑन द कम्युनिटी चैनल ऑफ यूट्यूब एंड माई इंस्टाग्राम चैनल ऑल्सो. सो यू कैन रिफर इट फ्रॉम देयर. सो व्हाट टू स्टडी, ये बैचेस बनाए हैं मैंने. इन बैचेस में आप पढ़ सकते हैं, क्योंकि इतना बड़ा सिलेबस है, इतने सारे पीरियड्स हैं, इतने सारे चैप्टर्स हैं, तो एक साथ पढ़ने की कोशिश करोगे तो परेशान हो जाओगे. बैचेस में क्या होता है कि आप अपना माइंड मैप क्रिएट कर सकते हैं कि ये एक पीरियड है 800 से 1200 AD तक का, वो मैं पढ़ूंगा पहले, उसमें क्या हुआ था. देन सेकेंडली फ्रॉम 1200 ऑनवर्ड्स to let's say around 1500 AD, 1400 AD, what happened, then later what happened. So like this you can bunch a few chapters which are similar in nature in one bunch, in one batch, and then you can study. Like for example, this batch, this is the this is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one, this is the fourth one, and this is the fifth one, and this is one chapter there also. So like for example, this fourth batch is of Mughals, mostly Mughals and Afghans invasions in India, 1500 onwards relatively. Then Akbar's reign, देन डेक्कन एंड द साउथ इंडिया एट दैट टाइम ड्यूरिंग द मुगल्स टाइम. फिर मुगल्स के ऊपर एक चैप्टर है पूरा, डिफरेंट मुगल किंग्स. देन इकोनॉमिक एंड सोशल लाइफ ऑफ मुगल्स, and then culture and religion of Mughals. So all these are kind of bunched in one thing, and you can study them together. Similarly here, Vijayanagar Empire, excuse me, the Bahmanids and the cultural developments in India at that time during this Vijayanagar Empire time, like for example Sufis, Chishtis, Suharwadis, then Bhakti literature, Vaishvanite literature, fine arts development. All this I have lumped in one particular chapter, but you can chronologically read like this also, or you can read batch wise also. Let's say you want to first study this part, so you can study this part also first, but I would advise you chronologically एक बार पढ़ लो, उसके बाद you can jumble up and study whichever you like first or whichever you think is more important. The second benefit of studying like this batch wise is later revision is easier, because then you can focus on areas where UPSC has been asking more questions or is likely to ask more questions. So then you can, let's say you think that from previous year questions this is the important part, and a lot of questions and come from this particular section, Vijayanagar Empire, cultural developments during medieval India, then you can focus on these instead of these, because I have noticed that UPSC does not really ask any questions from this second batch, and Sultanate period, the Ghaznavids, Turkish invasions, etc. Not many questions have been asked from this period at all. So could you skip this? Why not? You could skip this. Okay, I have skipped one chapter. I think chapter 10 मैंने last में डाला है, and chapter 18 19 also last में डाला है. These are not required to be read because they are very insignificant periods of time and events. So I personally don't think they are that important, but you can read them if you want. Okay. Excuse me. So next one is going to be now focus areas. What are the focus areas for medieval India? See, the focus areas of UPSC from medieval India every year mostly has been literature, art, paintings, etc., sculpture, Sufi and Bhakti movement, various saints, and various saints who lived during which king's time. That kind of contemporaries are also important, कि कौन सा सेंट किस किंग के टाइम पर रहता था, किस प्रीच करता था. Special achievements of any particular king, like Akbar had a lot of achievements, so उसके बारे में. Vijayanagar Empire had a lot of achievements, so उसके बारे में पता होना चाहिए. Architecture, most important battles, there are a few battles, around 10 battles. You can make a list of even these 10 battles which are very important during this time, so you should know about these 10 battles. The contribution of some of the important figures such as Shivaji Maharaj, Akbar, Vijayanagar Empire, people during Vijayanagar Empire, Haryarin Bukka, I think, were the emperor. So usko bhi padh lo. Various schools of thoughts that developed during that time and the philosophies that developed during that time, and like I told you, contemporaries. These are the focus areas. तो स्ट्रैटेजी में आपकी हाउ टू स्टडी में इन पे फोकस होना चाहिए. इनके हल्के से शॉर्ट 3 4 पेज के नोट भी बना लोगे तो वो हेल्प करेगा बाद में. एंड हाउ टू स्टडी बेसिकली मेडिवल इंडियन हिस्ट्री को कैसे पढ़ना है. देखो, सबसे पहले क्या करना है, आपको अपने माइंड में बिगर स्टोरी क्रिएट करनी है. अपने माइंड में, इन योर माइंड यू हैव टू क्रिएट अ बिगर स्टोरी दैट नंबर 1, दिस हिस्ट्री इज फ्रॉम 800 to 1700 AD. तो ऑलमोस्ट 900 ईयर्स की हिस्ट्री है, 900 ईयर्स ऑफ इंडिया ड्यूरिंग दिस पीरियड. इस पीरियड से पहले क्या होता वो हल्का सा पढ़ लेना कि अराउंड 700 AD में क्या चल रहा था इंडिया में, एंड अराउंड 1700 AD में इंडिया में क्या होना शुरू हो गया. तो उसके बीच की ये हिस्ट्री है. सो बिग पिक्चर में आपको देखना है कि ओके, दीज वर द एम्पायर्स दैट केम. पालास, प्रतिहारास, राष्ट्रकूटास, चोला एम्पायर इन तमिलनाडु, देन गजनाविड्स वगैरह, इनके फॉर ये इंडियन एम्पायर्स हैं क्योंकि ये इंडिया के इंडिजिनस एम्परर्स हैं. पर उसके बाद these people were the mostly invaders from outside. So initially there were emperors who were from India itself, but then there were lot of invasions that happened in India. What were the reasons for those invasions, right? Then later other cultural developments what happened. Vijayanagar Empire was indigenous empire. So उसमें क्या था, फिर मुगल्स केम टू इंडिया, तो वो एक बड़ा पीरियड है अराउंड 200 ईयर्स का. तो उस टाइम पे क्या हुआ, कैसे इंडिया की कल्चर और लिटरेचर और आर्ट आर्किटेक्चर डेवलप हुआ, इंडिया में रिलीजन कैसे डेवलप हुआ उस टाइम पे, कल्चर कैसे डेवलप हुआ, इकोनॉमिक मेजर पॉइंट्स क्या थे, जमींदारी सिस्टम कैसे डेवलप हुआ, ये सब आप पढ़ लीजिए क्योंकि इन्हीं चीज़ों पे क्वेश्चन। तो एक बिगर स्टोरी अपने दिमाग में बनाइए एंड देन गो इनटू द डिटेल्स, देन फॉर एवरीथिंग स्टडी फ्रॉम द बुक डिटेल्स चैप्टर वाइज. So I always use this reverse triangle method of learning, in which first I learn the bigger things, फिर I focus on the smaller details. Okay, so this is how you should learn because that is much easier to contain in your brain. Use Google search, use a lot of complimentary Google search for every topic so that you can relate and you can supplement your study. Make short notes on sheets of paper or on a notebook of things you think are important from these focus areas. Definitely go through previous year questions of the last 10-15 years and key topics और areas पे focus ज़रूर करना जो मैंने यहाँ पे दिए हैं. तो I will show you an example of some previous year questions from medieval history. I was also looking at this and I found this. So this is ancient history. And you can go to exactly the medieval history section here. Okay. So if you look at these questions that have appeared in the last 3-4 years, there are two type of questions UPSC has asked. One is very basic questions that you should know, you will easily know by reading this book. And the second questions are little harder questions which are hard to find. Even on Google, if you Google them, it is a little bit harder to find because they are probably asked from a certain text or certain book. So for example, I will tell you easy questions. Easy questions, look at this. Consider the following statement. Saint Nimbarka was a contemporary of Akbar and Saint Kabir was greatly influenced by Sheikh Ahmad Sirhindi. So this is a relatively easy question because you can find it in this book. If you study the life of saints, study the life of social reformers, it is very easy to find. Similarly, ये वाला question देखो. The well-known painting Bani Thani belongs to which school? Very simple question, easily found in fine arts book that I have suggested, and it can easily be found in this book. I don't know if it is in this book, but definitely in fine arts book. ये but culture, ये history का question नहीं है, art का question है, but you can find it in one of the books that I have recommended before. Similarly here, look at this question about Vijayanagar Empire. This question is simple and easy. Places, where are these important places? This is a simple question. Then look at this question about this one. Which of the following Mughal emperors shifted emphasis from illustrated manuscripts to individual portrait? This is a simple question, basic question. These are all found in this book or the art history book from NCERT that has been recommended. Other questions are a little bit harder. For example, this question, that who was in charge of revenue collection? Amil. Office of Mir Bikshi came into existence during the reign of Khalji Sultans of India, and the Ikta system of sultans was ancient indigenous institution. Now these are broader, more specific questions, harder because they have so many different facts floating around. Similarly, मियाँ तानसेन वाला इजी क्वेश्चन है, आप कर सकते हो. उसके बाद ये भी थोड़ा सा विद रेफरेंस टू हिस्ट्री ऑफ इंडिया, औरंग, बनियान और मिर्साइदार ये कौन होते थे. अब मैं आपको एक चीज़ बताता हूँ, उस पर ध्यान से आप थोड़ा सा ध्यान देना. मिडीवल हिस्ट्री एक ऐसा टॉपिक है जिसमें पता है तो पता है, नहीं पता है तो बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है एलिमिनेट करना भी. तो आई वुड से इसमें रिस्क मत लो, इसमें जो नहीं पता है उसको स्किप कर दो. ज़्यादा क्वेश्चन नहीं आते. 2021 ओनली 2 क्वेश्चन केम, 20 में एक ही क्वेश्चन आया बस, 19 में अराउंड 3, 4, 5, 19 में ज़्यादा क्वेश्चंस आए, बट उसमें इजी क्वेश्चंस का मिक्स है और हार्ड क्वेश्चंस का मिक्स है. जो नहीं आता उसको स्किप कर दो, आप कहीं और स्कोर करो. यू कैन स्कोर इन पॉलिटी, यू कैन स्कोर इन एनवायरमेंट, यू कैन स्कोर इन करंट अफेयर्स. डोंट ट्राई टू स्कोर इन ए टॉपिक from where already less questions are coming and they are hard questions, because if you try to do that then unnecessarily you will be wasting a lot of time. Similarly, so easy questions, matlab easy meaning those that are there in the book and you've studied them, they're good enough. If they are not there, if they have not you have not been able to crack them, it's fine, it's not a big deal. ठीक है. अब इसको पढ़ने का क्या तरीका है, देखो ये बहुत हैवी बुक है. इसको पढ़ने का तरीका है, आप इसको स्मॉल सेगमेंट्स में बांट के पढ़ो. चैप्टर नंबर फर्स्ट पढ़ने की इतना ज़रूरत नहीं है बिकॉज इट इज़ अबाउट वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री एट दैट टाइम, व्हाट वाज गोइंग ऑन. बट इफ यू आर इंटरेस्टेड यू कैन स्टडी. इफ यू स्टडी स्टार्ट फ्रॉम दी नॉर्दर्न इंडिया, 8th century to 10th century, एज ऑफ 3 empires. तो 3 empire थे, पालास, आई थिंक राष्ट्रकूटाज और प्रतिहाराज, उसकी स्टोरी यहाँ बताई है और उसमें क्या क्या हुआ था उस टाइम पे ये बताया है। और बेसिकली बड़े बड़े पैराग्राफ्स में, थिक पैराग्राफ्स में दिया है इन्फॉर्मेशन, सो इट इज़ हार्ड टू स्टडी दिस पर्टिकुलर बुक। सो व्हाट यू विल हैव टू डू इज यू विल हैव टू रियली सिट डाउन विद अ पीस ऑफ पेपर और उसको थोड़ा सॉर्ट आउट करके आप पढ़ सकते हो। फॉर एग्जाम्पल पाला एम्पायर पहले पढ़ लो, उस टाइम पे क्या हुआ था, फिर राष्ट्रकूटास का पढ़ लो, और उसमें मेजर focus should be on major things, that literature, like I said, those focus areas are the ones that you should focus on. You don't need to really go for anything else more than that, and the focus areas are literature, economic, आर्ट, पेंटिंग, सूफी भक्ति मूवमेंट अगर हुए थे उस टाइम पे तो, स्पेशल अचीवमेंट्स, आर्किटेक्चर, इंपॉर्टेंट बैटल्स, हु आर द इंपॉर्टेंट फिगर्स ऑफ दैट टाइम, दैट ऑल्सो आई शुड ऐड, द इंपॉर्टेंट पीपल, economic life, social life, and contemporary. So all these things you should study, and these things are given in these chapters. So the way these chapters are actually designed are, पहले वो बताते हैं कि कौन कौन मेन रूलर्स थे और क्या चल रहा था उस टाइम पे, फिर कल्चर लाइफ पे आते हैं, इकोनॉमिक लाइफ पे आते हैं, after that they will come on other topics during the like economic and social life during that time, education and religious beliefs. So first they tell you about what was going on during that period, and then they come on to the other things, the economic, social life, educational things, etc. that was going on. नॉर्मली इन चैप्टर से ज़्यादा क्वेश्चन आते हैं तो उस पर फोकस करना, जैसे इकोनॉमिक सिस्टम क्या क्रिएट हुए थे उस टाइम पे, दैट व्हाट आर द मेजर, व्हाट आर द हु आर द मेन गवर्नमेंट फंक्शनरीज एट दैट टाइम, उस टाइप के क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. सो एनीथिंग स्पेशल रिलेटेड टू दैट टाइम यू शुड स्टडी. अदर लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई हैव नोटेड हियर रजत रंगिनी, तो उस टाइम ये डेवलप हुई थी, तो इस पर डेफिनेटली क्वेश्चन आता है कि कहाँ पे लिखी रह गई थी, किसने लिखी थी. इस टाइप के सिंपल क्वेश्चन इस पे आ सकते हैं, किस चीज़ के लिए थी. तो ये इसका नोट्स आप अलग से बना लें, और एंड में यहाँ पे थोड़े से क्वेश्चंस उसको देख सकते हैं, इतना ज़्यादा देखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, बट जस्ट टेक क्विक लुक एट दिस. सो medieval history you should spend about, I would say, not more than 10 days or so, because this is not a very important part of the UPSC syllabus, but it is something that you have to study in order to even understand other things. So I would say you should definitely go for it, but be smart about how you studied. If you have any questions, let me know. Bye bye.